mid-afternoon session for the men's 1500 metre freestyle heats. Of course, coming up in this session there will be 7 heats of the men's 1500 metre freestyle. It is a case of the one swim should I say, for each of the swimmers. They will not have to do it again, and then we will find out who the age group winners are in each of the categories.
Our thanks go to sponsors and partners without whom this event would not be possible. Funding partner, Sport England. Official partner, TIER. Endorsed product, Sports Systems. Host city, marketing Sheffield and Sheffield International venues.
With us as well over the course of this session, as ever on the hashtag SE Swimming. Let us know who you're looking forward to in these heats. Perhaps you want to give some congratulations to some of the swimmers that we saw earlier on today. A lot of PBs broken and a lot of finalists given their slots in tonight's finals that will be coming up, of course, at 5 o'clock in the evening session. So let's kick off the mid-afternoon session then, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the men's 1500 metre freestyle, starting off with Heat 1.
Take your marks.
So, okay, take it to the pool for heat number 1 then in lane 3 from City of Bristol is Jonas Silk. In 4 from Ellesmere College Titans is Alex Rosser Barnett. And in lane 5 from Nova Centurion is Andrew Hall. These 3 swimmers coming into this heat, all with entry times around 2 seconds inside of each other. Alex Rosser Barnett the quickest, 17:41.48. Andrew Hall, next fastest, he's just 0.13 seconds behind on paper, and Jonas Silk's time coming into this 17:43.53. So it'll be very interesting indeed to see how this one pans out. Very tight between these three, as you would expect, particularly at these early stages as well. Particularly lanes 3 and 4, Jonas Silk and Alex Rosser-Barnett very close to each other indeed, with Andrew Hall not far behind at all in lane 5. And also, of course, it is a case with this swim as well in the 1500, where you may have one person try and pull away at a certain point in the race, but you have to make sure that you stick to your own race plan and you don't go too far in front of what you set out to at the start of it. So, of course, a lot of you getting involved on Twitter regarding not only this afternoon's events, but also the fallout from this morning's sessions as well. SE Swimming is the hashtag. Adventure XL tweeting 1500 boys about to kick off this afternoon. Charlie Casper and Tom, hashtag tough. Understatement of the day, I think that one. Chippenham saying Jamie has made the final in the 200 IM, Heat 1, Lane 7. Best of luck to him. Alex also saying Catherine Marr, Charlotte Walker and Miles Staff of City of Norwich through to tonight's finals. Great swimming from them. And last one for now from Kirsty saying great news, another finalist for City of Derby. Well done to Michaela in the 200 metre breast. Do make sure you keep those coming in. Hashtag SE Swimming, whether you're watching in venue here in Ponds Forge. A big thank you, by the way, for those here in Ponds Forge managing to get your lunch very quickly indeed. Ram it down your throat and get in ready for the 1500s. And of course, you watching on the live stream as well, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do make sure you get involved with us, hashtag SE Swimming. We'll read out the best of those as the afternoon progresses. can see with the officials on the end opposite the scoreboard end. The card 15 is out now, so we're at the halfway point in this first heat. Still very cagey indeed. Well, it's a triangle shape being formed with Alex Rossabani in lane 4 at the point of it. And to his left, just in second spot, is Jonas Silk, and marginally behind him is Andrew Hall, but only tenths of a second separating those two at this moment in time. It's very difficult to tell with the naked eye just in fact who is second right now. Those two very close indeed, but Alex Rossabani of Ellesmere College Titans currently going along very nicely indeed. And as ever, I've got Laura Winter next to me as well. Laura used to be a swimmer yourself, doing these sort of long distances. First question, what were you thinking when you were doing it, in more ways than one?
It's a very good question to start off with, because in training, I'd be left doing 10 400s at pace, while everyone else was tapering, doing 10 25s or something, and it was ridiculous. And I'd be left training for hours and hours. So then I questioned myself, but basically I didn't have much of a fast twitch system, so my fast twitch muscles didn't fire the way that sprinters do, and I was much more suited, and still am now, to swimming the longer distances. So for me it was 400, 800 free, and then later on, as I got a bit bigger and stronger, 200 backstroke as well, and then I dabbled in 400 IM, but I'm not very good at breaststroke or fly, so that kind of let me down quite a lot. By about half the race.
When you get someone like Alex Rossabani in lane 4 at the moment, of course if you're in lanes 3 or 5 and you're behind him, do you sort of pressure a little bit earlier than you would have done in your race plan beforehand, or you just stick to what it was? What's the thinking behind that?
I think it's very much a case of you have to stick to your plan. So these guys will all know exactly the kind of times they'll be doing on 50s and 100s. They'll have pace 50 and 100 times in their heads they need to stick at. And they also have that as a feeling as well. And when you are warming up and you do your pace 50s, your pace 100s, you have this feeling where you know when you touch the wall, your coach will say, oh, that was a 31, that was you know instinctively that was around a 31. And these guys now will just be hoping that they'll be repping that kind of pace. And it can be distracting when you've got a guy out in front and you are having to think, well, am I off my pace? Are they up on their pace? Are they having a blinder? Am I having a bad swim? And you've got to kind of stay in your lane, focus on what you're doing and do that process right, and almost ignore everyone else around you until you get down to the nitty-gritty of the last 300, 200 metres where you have to go.
At the moment, it's looking very good indeed for the Ellesmere College Titans swimmer down the centre. Still pretty much neck and neck. Jonas Silk in lane 3 and Andrew Hall in lane 5 as we come in now towards the final 500 metres.
It's another mental game as well to actually be out in front, and often when I was racing I did like to go out and lead from the front. Rather than having to chase anyone down. I think to an extent I was psyched out by having somebody I was racing next to me, and certainly if I felt tired and I could feel them creeping up on me, it's another mental game entirely. But to be out in front, that is a very, very good feeling indeed. And Alex Rossabani will be feeling good knowing that he's in pain, but he's put in a lot of open water between himself and the guys chasing him.
And of course there still is a relatively long way to go in this heat, but we came into this one with Andrew Hall just less than 0.2 of a second behind him in terms of entry time. That's certainly a much bigger gap separating those two at this moment. And all these swimmers as well in the 14-year age category, 13-14-year age category with the men's, which is the lowest age category, of course. You can imagine as we go through the heats, those ages will get higher and higher, but there will be a lot of 13-14-year-old swimmers on the way after this, particularly in heats 2 and 3. And therefore, Alex Rossabani in particular, down the centre in 4, will be looking to set a pretty good benchmark for those swimmers.
Rossabani then breathing every 2, and he's got a lovely long stroke, very relaxed, very good rhythm. He's setting an excellent tempo for himself, and you can see that is the open water that he's created, is that he is just ticking along nicely. He's in such a good rhythm right now. Nice tempo, decent leg kick every so often just to keep himself ticking over, but not too much. You don't want to burn your legs out too soon on a distance race, because you are going to need them in the final sprint for the wall. Silk, Rossa Barnett and Hall then all entered on around the 17:41, 17:43 mark. To give you an indication, Matthew Johnston holds the age group best time for the 14 years age group, and that is an almighty 15:36.11. The Bath Uni swimmer set that in 2010 here in Sheffield. 15:36, that is mighty quick indeed for 13, 14-year-old, considering the world record for the 1500 metres set by Sung Yang of China is 14:31.02. Rossa Barnett then still very much in control of this race. The fight now, though, on for second place. And there you go, the bell, which means there's just 100 metres left in the first heat of the 1500 metre freestyle. For Rossa Barnett, Jonas Silk now, Andrew Hall as well turning. 2 lengths remaining. And here's when the leg kick begins and the sprint back home starts. Now you see Rossa Barnett begin to use those legs again. 50 metres remaining. 16:55. Don't forget his time coming into this, 17:41. So he's looking good. Just 25 metres now remaining for Alex Rossa Barnett of Ellesmere, who has absolutely gone out and led this from the gun. 15 metres remaining now for Rossa Barnett. Entry time of 17:41. He is going to touch in under 17:30, I think. Yes. 17:28.71 for Alex Rossa Barnett. Storming swim. And we see now, after 1500 metres, barely anything separating these two guys as they come under the flags to the wall. 17:46.25. For Jonas Silk, 17:46.27, just 200ths over 1500 metres separated those two. Well done to those 3 lads in the first heat. Results confirmed up on the scoreboard as we move to heat 2. The second heat of 7 in the men's 1500 metre freestyle here on day 2 of the Swim England National Summer Meet 2017 at Ponds Forge in Sheffield. Swimming in lane 1, we have Miles Ward of Seagulls Swimming Club. Lane 2, Owen Webster, St Felix. Jack Jones of Royal Wolverhampton goes in lane 3. Bailey Ward, Nova Centurion in lane 4. Lane 5, Thomas Wyatt, Daventio. Looks like the start list we've got up here is slightly different to the scoreboard. We will go off what the scoreboard is saying. So in lane 4, Elijah Kendrick of Shiverers. Lane 5, Bailey Ward, Nova Centurion. Lane 6, Arian Lally of Hillingdon. Lane 7, Aidan Mitchell, City of Birmingham. And lane 8, Toby Stewart of Guildford City. And it is lane 4, 17:33.12 he came in at, who is currently leading the way, but not by much, small margins at this early stage in the race. Indeed, lane 6 now, Arian Lally has come through, 2:13.7 at the 200 metre mark. And these guys will know with their coaches exactly what points they want to hit for each 200, each 400, the 800. They will know their 200 splits. And they won't want to go out too fast either. Nobody wants to see a fly and die in a 1500 metre freestyle. It's a long way to be suffering. 25 lengths remaining. As you can see, the cards being placed at the other end of the pool to the start. Through 400 metres then, a 4:32 for Lally in lane 6, still leading the way. But just on his shoulder is Bailey Ward. Not much to choose then between the 4 swimmers in lane 6, 5, 4 and 2. That's Lally, Ward, Kendrick and Webster.
So inside the final 1,000 metres of this one then. And as the moment we look at 4, 5 and 6 with Elijah Kendrick, Bailey Ward and Arian Lally, more or less up together at the front at the moment. Of course, we've also got lane 2 as well with Owen Webster, but if we look at lanes 4, 5 and 6, are they sort of swimming to keep up with each other, get away from each other? What's going on between those three, would you say, at the moment in time?
I think the three of them will certainly be able to see each other, peripheral vision, and also when they're breathing and turning their heads, they will know exactly where each of them are. They will be trying ultimately to break clear and to get open water. Every swimmer in a distance race is going to want open water. It's one of the best feelings to turn and look back and see under the water that next swimmer is only just coming in under the flags. That's one of the best feelings as a distance swimmer, because you know that you've got control of the race and you've taken it on. And ideally, if they're swimming to their best, you're going to be PBing. As we see now in lane 4, Kendrick taking control of this one, and he'll be wanting to make his move here. It's interesting to see where swimmers actually make their move. But in the early stages of a 1500, or indeed an 800 like I used to swim, you kind of want to stick next to the person in the lane next to you, just to the extent of, if you're going at this pace, I'll stay here as well, and you don't want to burn out too soon. I talked about the best feeling, seeing that open water behind you. One of the worst feelings is being out in front and slowly but surely your advantage being eaten back up. And I've gone from first to fourth on the wall in a race, and it was, I still, 14, 16 years later, I can still remember the emotions I felt when I touched the wall and looked up and I was fourth by 0.1, because I'd just been eaten up, and my lead, had I gone out too fast, had I not quite been aware of them chasing, I'm not sure, but you still remember those races, they stick with you. So it's interesting, but they are going to be aware of each other, and they're going to be trying to stay with each other to an extent, but equally waiting and biding their time to make their move.
And also when you look at Owen Webster as well in lane 2, just sort of on the outside of that pack of three, is that a difficult task as well? Because he is looking across in that direction to see the three inside of him that he's trying to keep up alongside.
It's a difficult one, because to the extent that he can't exactly see exactly what Lally's doing in lane 6, Lally can't see him. So if he wants to make a move, it could perhaps go unnoticed. Equally, if they start motoring, he could miss it, especially as we see some swimmers breathing every 2, and therefore they breathe one side on one length and then the other side the next length. It's very easy, if you are breathing just to one side, to miss what's going on with the lane next to you, to the side that you're not breathing, and then suddenly you're having to play catch-up. And certainly you see that sometimes, and when I was swimming, I remember some lengths I seemed to surge on and others fall back, because perhaps I wasn't aware, or the swimmer I was racing wasn't aware that I was there. And so it's a cat and mouse game, and you can see now you've got Webster beginning to make his moves up here. These guys will know the times they want to hit. When I was swimming also, I'm not sure how easy it will be to see that board up there, and it's relatively small as well, but I used to actually sometimes crane my neck to even try and check my times and my splits, because you were that motivated by time that you knew exactly where you needed to be at what point. It's mapped out for you, and you've been training to this point, for months before.
Well, of course, a lot has changed in the pool just over the course of that conversation there, with at the moment dropping past in lane 5, Bailey Ward, but that is purely down to Elijah Kendrick's pace in lane 4. He's going along very nicely indeed. That battle at the moment in second spot, materialising between Owen Webster in lane 2 and Arian Lally in lane 6 of Hillingdon as well. Of course, always great support from the coaches as well during this event, with the swimmers all the way through, as if they're more or less swimming it themselves sometimes. And at the moment we can see more or less a diamond shape being created here, with Elijah Kendrick at the top of it. Either side, Owen Webster and Arian Lally, and just at the back, Bailey Ward in lane 5. Good to see you keeping us company as well on Twitter. Hashtag SE Swimming. Speaking and saying well done and good luck to Emily from Dinnerton, who's in the 12-13-year-old 100 fly final. So you've got a lane, you've got a chance. Go, Emily. Also, Sarah Green tweeting a picture of two Wigan best swimmers with their silver medals. Big well done to them. Cracking picture of those two. Isle of Man tweeting saying great swimming this morning. Sees Ben and Jack make the finals tonight. And also Peter there as well. A good look to them. Nice tweet from Team Thanet as well. Liking Laura's knowledgeable commentating and facts. I quote. I don't get too embarrassed by that. Certainly helping to pass the time. Well, thank you very much for that, Team Thanet. Hashtag Lover1500. Oh, there's a big competition as to who can say that the most ironically over the course of the next few heats or so. And also Julian saying good news from Hampton Waterlooville, with Austin and Theo Rogers making the 50 free and the 100 fly finals respectively. Encouraging people to watch tonight from Havant. Also Alex saying 200 metre breaststroke PB for Jack Richards of City of Norwich, placing 14th. Well done to Jack. Make sure you keep those coming in. One last one now from Lauren. Saying massive good luck to her fellow team captain William Davies in the 1500 freestyle. Go get him. Keep them coming in. Hashtag SE Swimming.
And so 100 metres to go, and the race is now on. To touch first in this 1500 metre heat. They've been swimming alongside each other for the majority of this race, pacing each other, motivating each other to keep on that tempo they've successfully created. And now it's going to be all about who is going to get the touch first. This is what those weeks of training is all about. It's making sure you get your hand to the wall first. Lally in control at the moment for Hillingdon. He touches first with just 50 metres to go at this 1500 metre, the second heat of 7 we've got here today. But Webster not giving up the fight at all. And I'll tell you right now, the lactate in the legs and especially the arms coming down this final 50. It's amazing these guys can even sprint for the wall, but that's exactly what Lally and Webster are both doing. And it is going to be Arian Lally's day. He touches 17:12.39. His entry time, 17:36. So on paper, that looks like a very big PB indeed. Owen Webster coming through for second, 17:14.65. Elijah Kendrick, 17:19.93 in third. Excellent swimming, lads. Really good stuff. Very hard-fought race indeed. We'll wait for those results to be confirmed up on the scoreboard. Jack Jones coming in. Last few metres, it's a long way. Big hand then for Heat 2 of the 1500 metre freestyle. As we see the results come up on the scoreboard, and we move on to heat number 3.
Here we go then with heat number 3. Reminder, of course, that all 7 of these heats will be swum in this session. There will be no fastest final or anything like that in the evenings tonight. All 7 of these heats swum now, and these swimmers going out for the only time in this event this week. So they might as well give it everything that they have got. Let's have a look at the lineup then in the pool here. In lane 0, and out very quickly indeed from Grimsby is Oliver Duckworth. In 1, from City of Leicester is James Bartley. Lane 2, representing Modernian, is Joshua Bristow. Lane 3, from Royal Wolverhampton is Thomas Watkin. In 4, from Devonshire Excel is Casper Reynard. Lane 5, representing Wickham District is Joshua Williams. Jay Cushion of Winsford is in lane 6. 7, from Chesterfield, Jack Price. 8, from Stourbridge is Thomas Davidson. And in lane 9, from Devonshire Excel is Thomas Wyatt. Oliver Duckworth coming out in the pool here in lane 0 at a rapid rate so far. Well ahead of the rest of the pool. Always takes someone to have a bit of a gamble and try and have the bit between their teeth, but at this moment in time, Oliver Duckworth, definitely the one who is trying to take this heat by the scruff of the neck.
It's very, very easy. I'm not saying Oliver Duckworth has. He may be well within himself here, but it's very easy in a 1500 metre and indeed in any distance to go out that little bit too fast. You're full of adrenaline standing on those blocks. Even now, like 10 years post when I used to race, I still get that little wave of adrenaline go through as you hear the whistle and then the electronic take your marks and you're ready on the block, ready to go. You still get that adrenaline, and when you dive in, that adrenaline has to go somewhere. So I know parents sitting there absolutely nervous, like my mum used to get. That adrenaline isn't going anywhere. When you're in the pool, you've got so much energy and adrenaline, and it has to go somewhere. And so the first 50 metres, even 100 metres, can feel so easy, and you think, God, this feels incredible, and you almost have to sit back and actually just think, no, this feels good right now because I've got so much adrenaline going through my body, whereas in reality, that can very quickly turn to lactic acid.
Could you throw the argument in there as well, though, when you've got someone like Oliver Duckworth who's gone all out in the first few hundred metres of this one, and then you have a favourite like Casper Reynard in lane 4, who is a long way behind at the moment. But maybe when you have someone like Oliver Duckworth in there, it's sort of a bit of a spanner in the works, someone you weren't expecting to go all out, and everyone else sort of has to change a bit of the way they go about the race. Maybe it changes things tactically for other people as well. Yeah,
absolutely, and certainly the guys over in lane 8, 7, maybe even 9, they won't really be able to see Oliver Duckworth. He's on an outside lane, and it's not often that you see Olympic finals, Worlds finals won from outside lanes, because typically now the big guys and girls will go from the gun in the semis, in the heats, and they will qualify for those fastest lanes. But sometimes you can see an outside burner, somebody just who's maybe had a dodgy semi or not quite the heat swim they wanted, make the final in an outside lane and then absolutely smoke it. And it does change the dynamic of the race, certainly in heats like this where perhaps these guys, some of them may not have swum 1500 metres for a while, they may have been doing specific training for it and therefore are going out there for a much faster time than we have here on paper, and they will be swimming like this in outside lanes. But for those in the middle chasing, to a certain extent, they've got to concentrate on the people they've got around them rather than trying to chase down Duckworth, who at the moment is still out there in front. He went through 200 metres in a 2:06, which is very quick indeed, and I just hope he can hang on.
just over the halfway point then in this third heat. And a very interesting complexion in the pool, it has to be said, at this moment in time. Of course, with Oliver Duckworth still out there in front in lane 0, but the pack of 4 that we spoke about in lanes 3, 5, 6 and 7, particularly Jack Price in lane 7, or beginning to hunt down the lead up from Grimsby in 0. We have a couple of pairs as well in lanes 1 and 2 with James Bartley and Joshua Bristow very close to each other on this near side. On the far side, in front of the spectator gallery, in lanes 8 and 9, Thomas Davidson and Thomas Wyatt as well. So, interesting developments here. And at the moment, way behind in lane 4 is Casper Reynard of Davencio XL.
The gap's remaining pretty much 6 to 7 seconds then for Duckworth over Price. And one advantage of being in the outside lane is you can also catch a glimpse of people on the side of the pool. So your coach will be there saying, up, 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 if you need to get that pace up and you need to start motoring. And they'll also be saying, just keep it there. You're right, you're on pace, all is well. And whenever you look, you always want to see them just going, okay, you're fine. And typically with me, they were normally going, get a move on. But Oliver Duckworth at the moment has got to be happy with how the swim is looking. Jack Price is hunting him down though. That time it was around 7 seconds. I think it's now about 6 seconds, the distance between them. So it's coming down slightly as we get to the business end of this heat.
And of course in the last heat as well, we saw that bunch sort of together for, well over half of the heat. This time around, a lot of individual swimmers going out there with a lot of open water around them, and this is sort of against what we were talking about. It's not really ideal for any of these swimmers towards the front 5 or 6 positions at the moment.
No, they've all got a lot of open water around them. Certainly in lane 5 there, you've got Joshua Williams. He will have Jack Price in his peripheral vision. He will know he's there, and he can probably see out the corner of his eye his leg kick. And he'll be hoping just to keep that leg kick, that splash in his sight. In fact, he looks like now he's potentially just moving up slightly and reducing that deficit. But certainly Price will really be struggling to see Oliver Duckworth in 0 and vice versa as well. So these guys won't exactly be able to spot each other and work off each other. And that's where, certainly for Oliver Duckworth, he's just had to go out on his own pace. He knows that he's in an outside lane. He's not going to have other guys to work with and work around, so he has to just go at his own pace. But that gap is going down ever so slightly now.
And a reminder, of course, that Oliver Duckworth came into this event with an entry time of 17:31.87. Only one swimmer and a slower time than that. That was Thomas Wyatt in lane 9 of Davencio XL. But of course, things not always going to form, particularly when you're in the lower age groups as well. These swimmers in the 13-14 year age group, in terms of James Bartley in 1 and Jay Cushion in 6. The rest in the 15-year category still at around that age where PBs are being smashed all the time, and of course quite significantly as well in some cases that we've already seen today.
The time gap then between Duckworth and Price now down to around 4.5 seconds or just over. And it's difficult to know whether that's Price beginning to make his moves or whether Duckworth is tiring. But the gap is certainly coming down, and Oliver Duckworth in 0 not quite enjoying the same open water he had before. Now into the last 400 metres of this race. Certainly with a distance like 800 freestyle, for me, I used to break it down. So it would either be 4 200s, 2 400s. Even if it was getting that bad, you break it into 4 100s, just to make it that little bit more manageable. When you are fatigued and you're tiring and you're fighting, you can actually just think, right, I'll do this 100 and I've got to get through it this way, and then the next 100, and then I'll do a 200, and it just makes it that little bit more easy, firstly to pace, and secondly mentally to deal with the pain that's going through your body.
And of course, to contextualise, should I say, things a wee bit in the grand scheme of things as well in this event. There are only 6 more swimmers in the 15-year category to come, and in the 13-14 year category, Jay Cushion in 6 and James Bartley in 1. are the last swimmers in that category to go. So we will know after this race who will be the 13-14 year champion. Of course, James Bartley in 1 and Jay Cushion in lane 6, knowing full well what the other times have been set in the previous 2 heats from those in their age group. In a minute, Jay Cushion in lane 6 is way out in front compared to James Bartley in lane 1. But we are beginning to see things begin to squeeze now as Joshua Williams in lane 5 and Jack Price in 7 are really now in pursuit of Oliver Duckworth in lane 0.
Yeah, 200 metres to go, and this is where things can get pretty nasty when you're out there in the water. It can get very painful indeed. One thing I used to struggle with is my throat when I came out of the pool used to be red raw. It was so sore because of the amount you were breathing when you were actually swimming and how deeply you were trying to get oxygen into your body because your muscles are just screaming at you to stop, and you are rightly telling them to keep going. And at the moment, Oliver Duckworth, who's led this from the start, he's still out in front, but his advantage is coming down. He will hear the bell, and that will be a very, very welcome sign indeed to these swimmers in the pool right now as we wait to hear the bell with just 100 metres remaining.
And of course, we said about the 13-14 year category being sewn up after this heat. In terms of the 15 year category, with 6 swimmers still to come, Oliver Duckworth in that category in lane 0 has obviously gone out with the game plan of let's just have a go. And with 100 metres to go, he's still the one in front, and you have to take your hat off to him whether he finishes first, second or third in this one, or he ends up being carried out the pool. It's an amazing performance from Oliver Duckworth.
Yeah, he's had a blinding swim here, regardless of what happens, and I very much hope, I do admire the gutsy effort he's put in. It's the way I used to swim, go from the front, fly or die, and I really admire the gutsy effort he's put in here. So for that reason, I would like to see him complete the race in first and obviously lead from start to finish. It's certainly a way to do it at Nationals. And it looks like at the moment he has turned first with just 50 metres to go, and he's now going to begin a desperate scramble to the finish to try and hold off Jack Price and Josh Williams, who are also battling for second and third, and indeed that battle for second could indeed draw Oliver Duckworth back into it. But at the moment, 15 metres to go, he has got half a body length to a body length out in front, and this is going to be a tremendous swim from Oliver Duckworth. I think he's going to hold on to this. He touches first, 17:02:43 for Oliver Duckworth, lane 0, led from start to finish. Joshua Williams in lane 2, 17:03:04, and Jack Price taking third, 17:03:39. Great effort from all of our swimmers here as we continue to cheer in the remaining swimmers in the pool.
As our final few swimmers come in now, what a spectacular performance that was from Oliver Duckworth. You could see his coaches on the near side as well, cheering him on towards the finish. Certainly had a big smile on the face when he touched it now, and I think he's just sat on the edge of the pool, and don't blame him one bit. What an exceptional time from him of 17:02.43, going up from the entry time of 17:31.87. So he's done all he can do. Of course, we've still got a few 15-year-old swimmers coming up as well. Confirmation coming up very soon of those results, and those swimmers will certainly get very much need a break indeed at the end of that one. Confirmation then up on the scoreboard of those results. Incredible performance from Oliver Duckworth, and of course with Joshua Williams and Jack Price squeezing him all the way as well towards the end. Now ready for our next heat, which is heat number 4.
Take your marks.
Oliver Duckworth's time of 17:02, the fastest we've seen so far, as we see Heat 4 now begin. In lane 0, we have Harry Spencer of Killer Whales. Lane 1, Benjamin Shipley swims for Kingston Hull. Oliver Fairman in lane 2 for Bournemouth. Ryan Wilcox in lane 3 for Nova Centurion. City of Bristol swimmer George Farr goes in lane 4. Max Underwood of the City of Oxford swims in lane 5. Daniel Butler of Newcastle in lane 6. Lane 7, Cameron Pollock, Tigers jersey. Chris Moodley in lane 8, swimming for Nova Centurion. 2 of them from that club in this heat. And Ryan Huddart of lane 9, swimming for Ricknold. George Farr going out the hardest here, alongside Huddart. Both swimming around a 61 for the first split. As I said earlier, it's difficult not to go out too hard. Adrenaline will be absolutely coursing through the veins, especially because you've got to sit and watch so many heats before you. We talked about commentating on and certainly sitting and spectating 1,500 metres. I tell you, it's worse being a swimmer and having to sit there and watch them and watch your compatriots doing their thing and getting their swimming done, and you have to sit there and wait to actually do it yourself. It's quite an agonising thing, especially when you've warmed up at around about midday, 12:30, and you might not be swimming until 2 o'clock, until 1:45, 2 o'clock, and you've got all that time to just sit and stew. And certainly for me, I was a swimmer who did struggle with my nerves, and I put a large amount of pressure on myself in that respect. And if you wait and sit there too long and sit and think about what might happen and what might go wrong and what you might do or might not do, you can get yourself into a right tiz.
And of course, as well, with Oliver Duckworth's swim there, going out right from the start, managing to win it at the end. Not only did this really disrupt the other swimmers in the pool with him, he sort of disrupted the complexion in his age category as well. We have quite a few swimmers in that 15-year category taking to the pool here. Benjamin Shipley in 1, Oliver Fairman in 2, Ryan Wilcox in 3, Cameron Pollack in 7, and Chris Moodley in 8. And they are well aware now that 17:02.43 is the time to be, which perhaps they were not expecting before this race.
That's exactly it. That is an added pressure that you don't need, and this is why the swimmers who are lining up now need to just completely hone in and focus on what they can do and not look around them. Control the controllables. It's a cliche, but it's true. You've got to just look within and focus on the processes that you've gone through and what you need to do. Visualize what needs to happen for you to get the time that you are capable of today. And certainly for some of these swimmers, I know as 14, 15-year-olds, you are going to make massive leaps in the times that you're posting. I remember doing 20-second PBs that I'd have killed for when I was 18. But these guys are in that prime now, and they will be able to take large chunks off their time. And that's really exciting as a swimmer, and you're never quite sure when you dive in exactly what you are capable of. And you'll see many of these guys getting out, and they'll be surprised at themselves. And, I don't know, but I can't imagine that Oliver Duckworth was perhaps expecting to go 17:02 today, and perhaps neither were the rest of the guys in his age group. But that is the barrier, that is the standard that's been set.
Currently we have a line of 5 at the front, 2 of them on the outside lanes again. Harry Spencer in 0 and Ryan Huddart in lane 9. Then you have the trio in lanes 2, 3 and 4 with Oliver Fairman, Ryan Wilcox and George Farr tucked together nicely right next to each other. Of course, a long way to go. Things will definitely spread out in the course of the next few hundred metres. Mentioned Ryan Wilcox in lane 3 with the green cap. Well, Michelle Bow has been in touch and saying good luck to Ryan Wilcox for Heat 4, rooting for you from the Greek island of Naxos, watching by the pool on the live stream. Well, I think if you ask Ryan Wilcox where he'd rather be right now, I think it may be where you are, Michelle, but he's certainly doing a decent job in the pool so far, as I mentioned, with the 5 currently at the front here. Still with around 1,000 metres to go. albeit, but he is still in touching distance with that front pack. Looking pretty menacing indeed at the moment, especially when you consider the distance between those 5 and the rest of the pool. Great support coming from poolside as ever in this event, but you can just see that pack of 3 we mentioned before beginning to dismantle, with Oliver Fairman at the tip of it in lane 2, Ryan Wilcox in 3. George Farr at the minute is just a bit behind the far side, and Ryan Hood in lane 9, with Harry Spencer still up there as well, and top 5 in lane 0 from Killer Wales. Surpassed the halfway point in this heat. A reminder, of course, 7 heats in total in this event, all of them being swum in this session. Medalists for each age category will be known by the end of heat number 7. Gary's been in touch, saying 3 University of Birmingham swimmers in the finals tonight. Vivian Butler in the multi-class 53. Also, Alan in the 200 breast, as well as Charlotte Taylor as well with satellites. Been well done to them. And John saying superb athletes in the 1500 metres, even those that come in last, and you absolutely have to concur with that. Not only is the physical punishment on these swimmers absolutely substantial over the course of 1500 metres, mental ability as well to be able to concentrate and keep up your rhythm all the way through around a 15, 16, 17 minute swim. It's definitely no mean feat. And the swimmers doing a fantastic job, of course, not only just to put themselves up in the first place to do this swim, sacrificed quite what would have been a long lunch break had they not been here, but they're in the pool giving it all they've got. It was made for some fantastic viewing so far, whether you've been watching in venue or on the live stream as well. Of course, we spoke about Michelle watching on the live stream from the Greek islands. backing Ryan Wilcox in lane 3, and he's currently in second at this moment in time. And of course we mentioned about the 15-year-old swimmers knowing they have to beat 17:02.43. These are the last set of 15-year-olds that we will see in the pool in 1, 2, 3, 7 and 8. 17:02.43 the time to beat in order for them to find their place at the top of the podium. Still a long way to go. At the moment, looking the most likely is Oliver Fairman in lane 2 of Swim Bournemouth. Well, the front 5, which was a line around 500 metres ago, completely disintegrated now into Oliver Fairman leading the way in lane 2 still, with Brian Wilcox just behind him in lane 3, and still going along very well indeed in lane 9 is Ryan Huddett of Reichnold, who's in the 16-year category. Quite a few 16-year-olds still to come. We will not know the winners in that category should I say, until the end of Heat 6. A reminder, of course, as well, at the end of Heat 7 will be the medal ceremonies for all the medalists in the 5 different age categories taking part in these heats.
Oliver Fairman then with the lead in this race. He's got open water behind him, looking very relaxed indeed. A lovely stroke. He's getting real length as he catches the water and pulls through. Very efficient stroke indeed. Ryan Hudder up in lane 9 also going well, as is Ryan Wilcox, the green hat of Nova Centurion, next to Oliver Fairman. Fairman, though, Bournemouth swimmer, looking very relaxed indeed. And this time he will hear the bell. A very welcome sound, but also the sound that means you've got to now go for it. It's kind of a mixed blessing that you think, right, 2 lengths to go, but I've got to absolutely sprint now.
A reminder, of course, for the 15-year-olds, the time they have to beat, 17:02.43, recorded by Oliver Douglas, superbly in lane 0 in the last heat. Reminder, it's Benjamin Shipley in 1, Oliver Fairman in 2, Ryan Wilcox in 3, Cameron Polak in 7, and Chris Midley in 8. They're all looking to beat that on paper with their entry times. They won't beat it, however, the way they've been swimming, particularly those near the front of the pool, they should be able to come close. So Oliver Fairman looks like the main challenger. 50 metres to go. He's going to do this in about 30 seconds, which you'd imagine he would. Of course, when the fatigue kicks in, you just never know. As he surpasses two of the swimmers going the opposite direction, who'll be going into their final 50 metres very soon indeed. It's Fairman to beat. Ryan Wilcox in lane 3 as well, and of course Ryan Hudder, who may be in the age category above and maybe not directly competing against those two, but he's doing a very good shift indeed at the moment in the 16-year age category. Look up to the front there, touching in Oliver Fairman, sub 17 minutes on 16:58.53. Ryan Wilcox just the other side of that 17:02 time recorded by Oliver Duckworth, so unconfirmed silver for Duckworth. Gold for Fairman and bronze for Wilcox. Of course, we will confirm that as and when we get the results. Ryan Hudder in the end in that race, touching in 3rd, which is fantastic still from him. 17:03.53, half a second behind Ryan Wilcox, and could argue that Wilcox and Fairman had the advantage of being next to each other for a vast majority of that heat. Hudder way on the outside there, managing to push them really close indeed. All the swimmers then touching now at the end of heat 4. Confirmation of the results up on the scoreboard there. Oliver Fairman, the first one today to go underneath 7 minutes. Hopefully we'll have more great times like that coming up in the next few heats. Up next is heat number 5.
Heat number 5 of the men's 1500 metre freestyle. Lane 0, Christopher Greenhull, West Suffolk. Lane 1, Billy Pettit, Northampton. Lane 2, Felix Gallagher of Stratford Sharks. Lane 3, Charlie Hopkins of Crawley. Lane 4, Adam Law, Borough of Kirklees. Swimming in lane 5, Thomas Menlove, Winchester. George Smith in lane 6 for Guildford City. Lane 7, Brandon Sayers of Teddington. Benjamin Winterburn in lane 8 for Carnforth, and in lane 9, completing heat 5, Simon Scully, City of Leicester. Once again, Simon Scully in lane 9. We are seeing a fast start indeed from an outside lane here. Often easy to just slip unnoticed out into the lead. He touched in 60.57. 61.81, the closest to him from lane 4. It's Adam Law, Borough of Kirklees. And of course, as I said, the outside lanes will have the slight advantage of being able to see who's on the pool side and exactly where they're at in terms of pacing, and knowing whether they need to up their game stay where they are, or indeed perhaps sometimes just hold back a little bit. We also see now Charlie Hopkins with Crawley coming through as well. Of course, the fastest qualifiers in each heat will be in the centre lanes. Still the advantage though after 200 metres with Scully turning in 2:07.99. Oliver Duckworth, just to say how quickly he went out in 2:06. So 2:07.99 for Scully. Made an excellent start in this 1500 metre heat. Heat 5 of 7 we have here today before our finals later on. Of course, the winners of the 1500 metres will be decided in these heats. We aren't going to ask these guys to do it all again tonight, are we? I don't think anyone would like that. Charlie Hopkins, Scully and Adam Law then currently leading the way. We've also got Thomas Menlove coming through for Winchester as well in 4th. Charlie Hopkins then of Crawley taking control here. Turning in a 4:22.41. He's got a lovely flow to his stroke, really smooth, nice and efficient. Pretty continuous leg kick as well. Some distance swimmers prefer to kick a little less often and turn on the burners in the last 200 metres or so. Hopkins, though, getting so much distance out of each stroke, really eking it out. Lovely and smooth, very efficient and perfect indeed for distance swimming, where you've got to stay as efficient as you can as the lengths tick down. Hopkins, Menlove and Law are early leaders after 500 metres. still the advantage with Charlie Hopkins. Menlove, though, in 5, just creeping up. He'll be aware that Charlie Hopkins is out in front. And he'll be using that to motivate himself, to pace himself. Now into the second half of this 1,500 metres. Hopkins, Menlove and Law, your 3, 4 and 5 lanes in the middle of the pool, current leaders.
So, of course, 2 categories already sewn up, 13-14 and the 15-year age category, already decided in these heats. That means we have 3 categories to go. And the main one of focus at the moment is the 16-year category, as we have 5 swimmers competing in that age group here in the pool right now, and there are only 3 more to come after this in the next heat. In the not too distant future, we will know our medalists in the 16-year age group. Reminder, of course, as well, the medal ceremony for this event, each of the A groups will take part at the conclusion of heat number 7 in this session. So let's have a run through then those 16-year-olds taking part in the pool now. Billy Pettit in lane 1, Felix Gallagher in 2, Adam Law in 4, Thomas Menlove in 5, and Benjamin Winterburn in lane 8. Currently coming out on top out of those at the moment, indeed, is Thomas Menlove in lane 5 of Winchester. Coach Ryan Huddett did set the benchmark, if you like, for the 16-year-olds in the last race on the outside line, lane 9. However, I expect with the entry times that one of these 5 will be able to take it a few seconds further. With a purpose to do that so far is Thomas Menlove in lane 5. Of course, in 3, Charlie Hopkins, the one leading the way. He's in the senior category of 18 years and over. Still a long way to go in terms of that. He's looking very assured in the pool so far, alongside Thomas Menlove.
And of course, these guys fighting for the medals in each age group. The thing to remember is that they have been racing each other throughout the course of the year, so they do know each other as well. And certainly parents out there, if any of you are like my mother, who was an absolute nerd, you'd have been researching what the swimmer next to your son or daughter has done this year, what they did at counties, what they did at regionals, and then you'll have been bringing that to nationals and saying, well, they're in this sort of form. And that's exactly it. You can trace exactly what swimmers have done, what kind of form they're in. You can never quite predict what times are going to come out at the end of the 1,500 metres here. Certainly nationals are a different kettle of fish, and you're going to bring your A game, or indeed you may crack under the pressure as well. You may just have an off day. But these guys will all know each other, so they'll know how to race. They know how their rivals normally pace an effort. They'll know how they normally race a 1,500 metres. And these two now, neck and neck.
it may be over 1,500 metres, but every stroke certainly counts. Just have one set of results in from one of the earlier age categories. Not going to name the swimmer, but one swimmer has missed out on a place on the podium by 1/100th of a second. It really can be that close over the course of this event.
1/100th of a second over any distance is painful, but over 1,500 metres, that's brutal.
Absolutely, and at the moment when you see how close those two are at the front, of course different age categories, but you'll have to go that little bit further ahead of each other in order to make it secure with their time. It is good when you do have sort of two swimmers in different age categories over this sort of distance, and you know, especially when you're a younger swimmer, maybe against someone that's a bit older, you push that a little bit more. You've got a bit more of an incentive to maybe go a little quicker than you would have done otherwise. Trying to keep up with the highest standards around you in the pool. Thomas Menlove, a couple of years younger than that of Charlie Hopkins, who's in lane 3. Both giving each other a right good game of it at this moment in time as we go into the final 250 metres. One thing, of course, we said earlier on about strokes. We look at in the pool, we've got Charlie Hopkins in lane 3. Every stroke he seems to make, Thomas Menlove sort of does 2 inside of it, and it just shows you that, you know, there's a variety of strokes to do in this one and still be successful with it as well, because they are pretty tight with each other still at this stage.
Yeah, it all depends on what's more comfortable for you as a swimmer. Certainly, when I was a swimmer, I had quite an erratic stroke. I would admit fully now, I would never admit it to my coaches back then, but I'll admit now that my stroke wasn't that good. I had quite a high turnover. My arms used to go around very quickly. I also had quite straight arms. I'd very often whack the lane ropes or the walls in training and ended up with bruises and cuts all over my hands. But at the time when I was younger, it worked for me. And it just is what works with the swimmer and what feels more natural. But certainly, looking back, I think a more efficient stroke would probably have given me a little bit more speed. Both of these guys clearly have efficient strokes. They have fast strokes. And it's what's working for them.
Well, of course, it may be Charlie Hopkins leading the way when he will hear the bell first. Going into the final 100 metres, not much though ahead of Thomas Menlove, but Thomas Menlove, the man who is in contention for potential podium spot in the 16-year category. Of course, as I say, 3 swimmers in that age group to come in the next heat, and that will be that as far as the 16-year-olds are concerned. As far as Charlie Hopkins is concerned in lane 3, he has to swim his best in the final 100 metres here and wait patiently in the next 2 heats to find out whether or not he's got a spot on the podium for the seniors. So a lot of the swimmers now across the lanes beginning to hear the sound of that bell. Mentioned earlier, very welcomed in for a lot of the swimmers, but it also means some of them also have to push on that little bit further, and we're seeing a bit more of a kick now from Charlie Hopkins in lane 3, leaving a bit of a white crater behind him as he goes in towards the final 50 metres. Thomas Menlove still up there as well in lane 5, but it looks like Charlie Hopkins has really timed this well to go into the final 50 and be able to have a little bit more up his sleeve to kick on further as he puts on the afterburners.
He's left a little bit in the tank for this final sprint. It's always nice knowing as a distance freestyle when you come into that final 50, final 100 and you can feel it. Yeah, I've actually got a bit more here and I'm going to kick and I'm going to sprint to the wall. You never want to leave anything in the tank though, and today Charlie Hopkins has done exactly what he needs to do. He's going to touch in first in this heat. 16:39.54 for him. What a time that is. Menlove just behind, 16:42.85 in second. And in third, we now see Adam Law coming through, 16:54.08.
Last couple coming in now then. Lane 0, Christopher Greenhalgh of West Suffolk on 17:19.63. Also look across the lane as well, Benjamin Winterburn just touching in 17:20.58. Completing the pool will be Felix Gallagher in lane 2 of Stratford Sharks. His time 17:34.54. So once again, great swimming from all 10 of those swimmers. The benchmark being set there by Thomas Menlove for the 16-year category, 16:42.85. Overall, though, in that heat, it is Charlie Hopkins taking it on 16:39.54. Confirmation of that up on the scoreboard. Let's move on to the penultimate heat, heat 6.
Heat 6 then, the penultimate heat of the men's 1500 metre freestyle. Lane 0, swimming for Grantham, it's Aidan Wright. Lane 1, Sean Carter of Newcastle. Lane 2, Adam Hall of Gloucester. Lane 3, Ross Large, Nova Centurion. Lane 4, Patrick Meggett, City of Hereford. Lane 5, Matthew Sylvester, Wigan Best. Jay Snowden, swimming for Plymouth Leander in lane 6. Ralph Munzer in lane 7 for St Albans. Luke Bryan swimming for West Norfolk in lane 8. And Charlie Palmer swimming in lane 9. Turning first after 200 metres, Ralph Munzer, St Albans, in a time of 2:05.52. Luke Bryan just on his shoulder, 2:05.59. And Adam Hall of Gloucester going well in lane 2, 2:07.13 for him. Coming up to 400 metres then, keep an eye on the splits of course, coaches will be there, pen and paper and stopwatch in hand, making note of these. Luke Bryan, West Norfolk. He turns first, 4:17.73. Looks like the race is in lanes 7 and 8. Luke Bryan and Ralph Munzer swimming together. Just about half a body length or so separates the two as they make this turn. Just 0.4 of a second between them at the wall. While behind them we've got 3 swimmers vying for that 3rd position in this heat.
Lisa's got in touch to say she's supporting Luke Bryan swimming in lane 8 in this one. She says to look from all at West Norfolk Swimming Club. Of course, it's been there all the way at the moment alongside Ralph Munzer in lane 7. Those two very close to each other indeed. Lane 4, currently in 3rd position, is Patrick Meggett of City of Hereford. In the senior category, 18 years and over. one of the more experienced swimmers in the pool. Currently alongside him in lane 6 is Jay Snowden, who's in the 17-year category for Plymouth Leander. Of course, as I say, the 16-year category will be decided in this heat. Adam Hall in 2, Ralph Munzer in 7 and Charlie Palmer in 9. But Ralph Munzer is definitely the one in lane 7, the City of St Albans swimmer. He's got the bit between his teeth, because not only does he lead at the moment out of the 3 16-year-olds in the pool, he leads out of all 10 regardless of age category. The time, remember, he's got to overcome 16:42.85, set by Thomas Menlove in heat number 5. He's looking very much on course to do that at this moment in time. Still that posse of swimmers going between lanes 0 and 3. Aidan Wright in 0, Sean Coulter in 1, Adam Hall in 2, and Ross Large in 3. They're all still pretty much bunched up with each other in places 5 to 8 at this moment in time, but they're not really far off the tail of Patrick Meggitt in 4, and Jay Snowden as well, a couple of lanes across to the left. As we go into the final 550 metres, nearly 1,000 done in this heat. Ralph Munster, still the man to beat. Getting quicker and quicker. Down heart of the pool, Patrick Meggitt in City of Hereford. Of course, it could all change before the end of this race.
Into the final 400 metres then of this race, and Ralph Munster's taken it by the scruff of the neck, trying to break clear of Luke Bryan. He is still on his toes though. He'll be able to see the splash of his feet, and he'll know that he's losing contact, or indeed that Ralph Munster is trying to make a break for it here and get some clear water.
into the final 200 metres then. It's still as you were in first and second with Ralph Munster in lane 7 and Luke Bryan in 8. Both up there, and in third position Patrick Meggitt still in lane 4. Perhaps not providing the assault we thought he might do, that he looked as if he was preparing for around 300 metres ago. And still keeping him company in lane 6 is Jay Snowden with that flurry of swimmers between lanes 3 and 0, more or less in a diagonal line, with at the point of it being Ross Large in lane 3. Also involved in that is Adam Hall as well. Cameron says, come on Adam Hall, from those at Gloucester City, who certainly has put in a good shift so far as he goes into the final 150 metres. Of course, we go back to the 16-year category. Adam Hall is one of those swimmers, as is Ralph Munster in lane 7, and Charlie Palmer as well in lane 9, who is struggling to keep up with the aforementioned 2, but the time they have to beat, 16:42.85. That was the benchmark in that age category set by Thomas Menlove in the last heat. So the sound of that bell goes, and 100 metres now remain. Ralph Munster still managing to have the marginal advantage just ahead of Luke Bryan. But this is the moment you'd suspect, Laura, in the race where they've been together all the time, but it looks as if here Luke Bryan's been waiting for this moment to now pull away ahead of Ralph Munster.
Yeah, he's got something left in the legs, hasn't he? And at the moment, he is just creeping ever so slightly ahead. Munster desperately trying to hold on. And you were talking there about the times. He's got to do this final 100 in 1:03 to beat the time set in the previous heat in that 16-year age group. And at the moment, it looks like it's going Luke Bryan's way. He's got enough left here. He's been sitting on his shoulder or next to for the majority of the race, and now he kicks clear for home into the last 20 metres of this 1,500 metres. And it's here where races agonisingly are won and lost for these swimmers. Coming up to the wall then, Luke Bryan's done just enough to get the best of Ralph Munster. He touches first, Munster in second. Great swimming from both of them. 16:44.1 for Bryan, 16:44.61 for Munster. Patrick Meggitt coming through for City of Hereford in 16:49.35.
Of course, unconfirmed at this moment, but Ralph Munster's 16:44.61 looks as if it may have put him just below that of Thomas Menlove. So at the minute, provisionally, Thomas Menlove does take the 16-year category. Confirmation, of course, will be incoming regarding that, but nonetheless, Ralph Munster up there on the podium as our last few swimmers begin to come in. Now down the centre, Matthew Sylvester of Wigan, and also Charlie Palmer as well of Deventio XL. So, of course, we'll have to wait and see in the grand scheme of things how that heat lines up with the other heats, and of course all the age categories that go with it as well. But we're now ready for our final heat, ladies and gentlemen. It's heat number 7.
Heat 7, our final heat of the men's 1,500 metre freestyle. Lane 0, Lewis Gilchrist, City of Oxford. Swimming in lane 1, Benjamin Prosser, Wickham District. William Davis goes for Swindon Dolphins in lane 2. Marcus Johnson, City of Milton Keynes, in lane 3. Thomas Owens swimming in lane 4 for Barnes Swimming Club. Samuel Crabtree for Thanet Swim in lane 5. Lane 6, Miles Turner of West Suffolk. Lane 7, Elliot Pickford of Wirral Metro. Lane 8, Harry Whiteman, City of Peterborough. And in lane 9, Rhys Taylor of Nova Centurion. I mentioned it a bit earlier, but these guys have had to wait an awful long time and watch 6 heats of 1,500 metre go before them. And the things that go through your mind before you race, it's not easy watching other people swim. So Miles Turner with the early advantage after 200 metres in this heat of the 1500 metre freestyle. Turning in a 2:07. And no one quite getting their nose in front by too much of a distance just yet in this heat. All very much staying together.
So 3 age categories decided going into this finale, heat number 7. Quite a lot of swimmers in the 17-year category. In fact, it'd be easier naming those not in that category, and they are the seniors in the 18 years and above. Marcus Johnson in 3, Thomas Owens in 4, and Samuel Crabtree in lane 5. The time they have to beat is 16:39.54. That was set by Charlie Hopkins back in heat 5. And on paper, the only one currently that would be getting the gold medal based on their entry time would be Thomas Owens in lane 4 of Barnes. But of course, we've seen a lot of personal bests achieved in the heats so far. Of course, in the 17-year category as well, the best time at the minute stands at around 16:44. So those in lanes 0 to 2 and 6 to 9 know exactly what they have to do in order to pick up a podium spot in that 17-year age category. So certainly a lot to play for here. It's currently the 17-year-olds doing the most work at the moment, spearheaded by Harry Whiteman in lane 8 of City of Peterborough. Of course, an awful long way to go, but just a fingernail in front or so in the 18-year-old cluster in the centre. Here's Marcus Johnson in lane 3 of City of Milton Keynes. approaching the halfway point then of this final heat now, with no one overwhelmingly in front, no one significantly left behind either at this moment in time. First to the wall, and to see that 15-lap card, Harry Whiteman in lane 8 of City of Peterborough, more or less as you were in that respect. Of course, he's one of 17-year-old category swimmers in this one, chasing down the current best time of 16:44 set by Luke Bryan in the last heat. He's definitely looking good so far. Bit of encroachment beginning to be made by a couple of the seniors as well in lanes 3 and 5. Marcus Johnson and Samuel Crabtree of City of Milton Keynes and Thanet Swim respectively. A lot of these swimmers, particularly the younger ones that we've seen in the heats, got a very busy schedule this week. When you have this sort of event on day 2, Laura, I mean, what is the preparation for the day after doing a 1500? What do you do in the evening? Do you carry on, bit of a cool down, get ready for tomorrow, or just get to bed straight away and just wake up tomorrow?
I think the worst thing you can do is just leave the pool having just raced and just head straight, sit down, straight to bed and sit down. I think you need to keep moving and get that lactic flushed out of your system. So you'll see many of these swimmers head over to the pool over there by the diving boards, and they will do a cool down. That may even include, I remember when I was swimming, we did a little bit of effort within the cool down just to flush the system, so create that lactic to flush it out of the muscles, just so that when you get in the next day, your arms aren't literally creaking as they're going round, because swimming an event like this, it makes the arms burn. The next day you can certainly feel it. As I was saying earlier, you can feel it in your lungs as well, cardiovascularly, respiration system wise as well. You can tell that you've raced a hard, tough distance event. And these guys will know about it if they are racing throughout the course of the week. Indeed, if they've got 400s coming up, perhaps 400 IM or 400 freestyle, the other distance events, they're going to want to flush this out of their systems, get themselves moving again, and most importantly eat and replenish the stores that they have depleted doing this.
Harry Whiteman all out at the moment then in lane 8. He's almost coming towards the 2/3 mark of this 7th heat. In terms of the 18-year-olds, Marcus Johnson just leaving Samuel Crabtree behind at the moment, and you'd say the gap between him and Samuel Crabtree is around the same gap, separating Samuel Crabtree from Thomas Owens in lane 4. Of course, 3, 4 and 5 all looking to beat Charlie Hopkins' time earlier on today of 16:39.54. Thomas Owens is the quickest on paper, the barn swimmer in lane 4. He's currently just tailgating behind Samuel Crabtree to his left and Marcus Johnson to his right. You'd imagine waiting for the correct moment to pounce on those two in front of him. Just the 450 metres to go at this moment in time. Harry Whiteman, definitely the pace setter for those in the 17-year category. 16:44, the time that he has got to get better than. As we said, a lot of 17-year-old interest in this one as well. But if we look in that category, currently in second spot is in lane 9, Reece Taylor of Nova Centurions, which the two on the side closest to the spectator gallery doing most of the work in the 17 years group. Down the centre, leading the way out of the seniors, Marcus Johnson in lane 3. Good support coming in from Will Davis as well. A couple of tweets already for him. I do remember last year the Swindon Dolphin swimmer here in, of course he's swimming in lane 2 at the moment. He was getting an awful lot of support on Twitter last year. That has continued in 2017 as well. Megan says, good luck Will Davis in the 1500 from Maya and Megs. In a minute, he is very much level pegging with Benjamin Prosser of Wickham District in lane 1. out of contention for a medal at the moment in the 17-year category. Still a relatively long way to go, despite the fact we're into the final 300 metres or so of this one now.
Yeah,
Still up front, Harry Whiteman.
Trust me, it does feel like a long way as well. When you've already raced 1,200 metres and you've still got 300 metres left to go, and you know actually that's the sharp end of the race, when you're actually going to have to really motor on and places are won and lost, times, PBs are gained or lost. It's the part of the race that really begins to hurt, but also the part where you can get excited because you know the bulk of the work is done and now it's just about finishing the job. Very often when I was swimming, I would get an adrenaline rush with 200 metres to go because suddenly your body would give you this second wind of saying, right, fight or flight, we've got to go now. And actually that's what you look forward to in the race is a bit of fresh energy, just to know that you've got to change the system, to go from very much an aerobic endurance system to suddenly back to that anaerobic, fast twitch, quick fire system.
Is it naive to say as well, if you get someone like Oliver Duckworth that we saw in Heat 3, we're going about him a lot, but a fantastic example on the outside lane going right at the start. If he did dwindle, which obviously he didn't, but if he did dwindle going into the final 200 metres, should he look back and say, you know what, that was a great first 1,300, or should he look back and say that was a stupid race plan? How do you come back, especially if you're a younger swimmer, how do you come back looking at a race like that where you were out in front for a long majority but just dwindled at the end? Can you look on that with positives, negatives? What do you think?
I think both, and certainly as a younger swimmer you've got to take the lessons in absolutely every swim you do, good or bad, and it's something that I can say now looking back as a more mature adult, but at the time it's very difficult to see past a bad swim. You've just got to take the positives of, well, I've learnt a lesson today. He'll have learnt, he went out so quick. He went out quicker than these 10 swimmers in the pool right now in this final heat. He went out so fast. For him, that might not have been part of his game plan exactly, but he might be the type of swimmer who does enjoy going out and getting that gap and then letting the rest of the field try and get back at him. It may work for him, and so he'll have sat down with his coach afterwards and they'll have looked at each and every split and they'll have said, you went out like this is what you came back in. As we hear the bell now for just 100 metres to go on this final heat, and his coach will talk it through with him. It could be some swimmers prefer to actually do a negative split, so they'll prefer to go out at a relatively steady pace and then come back even harder.
So it sounds like a cattle of cows at the moment as all the bells ring away at the scoreboard end. The first to hear it, though, was Harry Whiteman in lane 8. And, of course, a reminder, he's got to get better than 16:44 there or thereabouts in order to take the 17-year-old title in terms of the seniors. Time to beat is that of Charlie Hopkins, 16:39.54. And leading the way, Marcus Johnson. We thought things may change a little bit with Thomas Owens in 4 and Samuel Crabtree in 5. It hasn't really that much, and you can see the urgency being required from the stands there for Harry Whiteman in lane 8 for City of Peterborough. He knows he's in touching distance here of getting this gold medal in the 17-year category. Of course, not confirmed straight away this, but as he comes into the wall, 16:31.32 definitely looks good enough from Harry Whiteman. It's actually, I think, the fastest one that we've seen all day, and he's not even in the senior category. Coming in now for what looks to be a gold as well in the senior category, Marcus Johnson on 16:36.63. And I think when he touched the wall, he was just laying on his back, hovering in the water for a moment, and absolutely shattered after that race, with Samuel Crabtree in 3rd and Thomas Owens in 4th. Confirmation of those results then, all 10 of them on the scoreboard. Of course, we'll bring you confirmation of the medalists in a few moments' time. The medal ceremonies will be coming in a few moments. We have a call out, please, for all our medalists, and in no particular order: Thomas Menlove, Ralph Muntzer, Adam Law, Ryan Wilcox, Oliver Duckworth, Oliver Fairman, Jay Cushion, Arian Lally and Owen Webster to the timing suite as soon as possible, please. Ladies and gentlemen, the medal ceremony for the men's 1500 metre freestyle. The medals were presented by Sport Governing Board member Kay Grimshaw. My apologies, the medals were presented by Swim England President, of course, Anne Ray. The winners of the bronze medals. In the 13-14 year age category, representing St. Felix, Owen Webster. And in the 15 year age category, representing Nova Centurion, Ryan Wilcox. The winners of the silver medals. In the 13-14 year age category, representing Hillingdon, Arian Lally. And in the 15 year age group, representing Grimsby, Oliver Duckworth. Let's hear it one more time for our silver medalists in the 13-14 year age category from Hillingdon, Arian Lally. And in the 15 year category from Grimsby, Oliver Duckworth. The winners of the gold medals. In the 13-14 year age category, representing Winsford, Jay Cushion. And in the 15 year category, representing Swim Bournemouth, Oliver Fairman. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for your medal winners. So the first medal ceremony over and done with there. The hashtag SE Swimming. Keep those tweets coming in. Tweet from City of Leicester saying big improvement from Simon, dropping 16 seconds to win himself a new PB in 9th place in the senior category. Big well done to him. Also Abby wishing her good luck to William Davis, said of course the Swindon swimmer. Well supported always here at the summer meets. And also a tweet coming in from Teddington saying a great swim earlier for Brandon, going with a PB. 17 seconds off his PB, in fact, in the 1500 free. Big well done team. Keep those coming in. Hashtag SE Swimming. Ladies and gentlemen, the medal ceremony for the men's 1500 metre freestyle. The medals will be presented by Swim England President Anne Ray. The winners of the bronze medals. In the 16 year category, representing Borough of Kirklees, Adam Law. In the 17 years category, representing West Norfolk, Luke Bryan. And in the 18 years and over category, representing Thanet Swim, Samuel Crabtree. The winners of the silver medals. In the 16 year age category, representing City of St Albans, Ralph Muncer. In the 17 year category, representing Nova Centurion, Reese Taylor. In the 18 years and over category, representing Crawley, Charlie Hopkins. The winners of the gold medals. In the 16-year age category, representing Winchester, Thomas Menlove. In the 17 years age group, representing City of Peterborough, Harry Whiteman. In the 18 years and over category, representing City of Milton Keynes, Marcus Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for your medalists. So that ends our mid-afternoon session then, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for staying behind and watching the 1500 metre freestyle. Some great racing as well, and a big congratulations to all our medalists and of course all the swimmers as well taking part in that one. We will be back with the finals starting at 5 o'clock. Whether you're in venue or watching on the live stream, make sure you join us then. We'll be there. So will our officials, who may now leave the pool side. Thank you very much, officials.